Another mystery buried deep in the hills of eastern Washington keeps resurfacing. A bottomless pit said to be a pathway to the paranormal.
It just disappeared, which lends itself to the mysteriousness of Mel's hole. Did Mel take it? Did it just sort of rise out of the locked file cabinet? You never know.
Deep in the remote hills of eastern Washington lies a pit unlike any other, an abyss that seems to have no end. Locals whisper of strange sounds, vanished objects, and forces that defy explanation. Scientists, thrill seekers, and the curious alike have tried to uncover its secrets, but the deeper they look, the darker the mystery grows. Cameras fail, radios distort, and animals flee from its edge as if sensing something unnatural below. What truly lies beneath this endless void may reveal more than anyone was prepared to face. The Endless Pit's unsolved depth. Mel's Hole is no ordinary pit. Nestled in the hills near Ellensburg, Washington, this strange hole measures about 9 feet across and is surrounded by a low stone wall that extends roughly 15 feet down. Beyond that point, darkness swallows everything whole, and no one has ever found the bottom. Mel Waters, the landowner who first brought attention to the pit, became obsessed with understanding just how deep it truly was. He tried simple experiments at first, lowering a heavy 1-pound weight attached to a fishing line. To his shock, after unspooling more than 4,500 feet, the weight never touched bottom. Undeterred, Mel continued, attaching candy lifesavers to the line, hoping to find water at the hole's base. After thousands of feet, the candy came back perfectly dry, an eerie sign that this was no ordinary well or sinkhole. As Mel wound out more than 80,000 feet, more than 16 miles of fishing line, the mystery only deepened. No matter how long the line got, no bottom revealed itself. More bizarre still was the silence. When objects were dropped in, there was never a splash or an echo, as if the hole consumed everything soundlessly. This silent abyss seemed to defy all natural explanation, converting disbelief into fascination. Locals began to notice odd details surrounding the pit. Dogs tethered nearby refused to approach it, pulling their owners away as if they sensed a hidden danger beneath the earth. Birds avoided nesting nearby, and insects were mysteriously absent. Even the simplest acts near the hole triggered strange sensations and unexplainable phenomena, like odd signals over the radio. The hole was becoming a growing enigma, capturing attention far beyond the quiet hills. Despite many attempts to uncover its secrets, Mel's Hole steadfastly refused to reveal its true nature. Its endless darkness suggested something otherworldly, possibly a gateway or void far beneath the ground. What lay at the bottom, if there ever was one, remained a question that haunted everyone who dared approach the pit. The silence and invisible depth seemed to warn against further probing while inviting even more curiosity. The pit's defiance of physics and nature sparked theories from the plausible to the downright fantastical. Was it a bottomless natural formation, or something more? What if it is connected to another realm or dimension? These questions lingered without answers, prompting more explorers to test the abyss and seek evidence of its mysteries. Yet, despite technological advances and daring efforts, Mel's Hole kept its secrets close. The endless darkness beneath the stone wall remained an impenetrable veil, its depths untouched and unknowable. This unfathomable abyss was the starting point of a story twisted by strange phenomena and whispered secrets that only grew darker. As the hole's baffling nature continued to mystify witnesses, even experts struggled to provide straightforward explanations. It was clear that something extraordinary was buried deep in those hills, and a deeper story was waiting to unfold. The bizarre activity around Mel's Hole only heightened the intrigue. Strange phenomena around the hole. The area around Mel's Hole was marked by eerie silence. Birds and insects disappeared, as if the site were a vacuum of nature's usual sounds. Locals observed that animals seemed to sense something unseen. Dogs would pull back desperately, refusing to draw near the pit. It was as if the hole radiated a subtle warning or invisible threat, visible only to instinctive creatures. Mel himself reported unusual experiences. When near the hole with his radio, the device picked up strange signals and interference. At times, the radio played melodies from decades past. On one occasion, it broadcast a baseball game from 1967. nearly 30 years before Mel even took up residence nearby. These temporal distortions suggested a unique energy affecting electronic equipment. The unnatural occurrences did not stop there. One neighbor shared a haunting story. After losing his dog, he threw the animal's body into the hole. Days later, the same dog appeared, alive and wearing its collar, wandering near the woods but seeming detached and unrecognizing of its owner. Such tales sounded like science fiction, yet they became part of the growing folklore surrounding Mel's Hole. The hole appeared to affect the ecosystem in ways that were opposite. While the animals kept away from the pit, the plants, however, were reported to take advantage of the situation, getting unusually abundant and healthy. This weird duality not only confused the scientists, but also puzzled the natives, revealing that the power from the hole was able to influence the living beings in different, mysterious ways. As time went on, the stories and the rumors increased. Some claimed that the hole was on a ley line, an invisible line of earth energy which some people believe has a lot of power. Others guessed it was a gateway to another time, dimension, or even the legendary Hollow Earth. The hole not only had a physical influence, but also a psychological one, as it captivated the minds of the people who were nearby. The site was initially alluring to the public because of its folklore and speculation, but at the same time, the strange phenomena that were reported kept many people away. The very same thing that attracted the thrill seekers, paranormal investigators, and government observers was the risk that was involved. The pit had ceased to be a mere geological curiosity. It was now a symbol of the unknown. There were many reports of unsettling events and strange experiences, but there was no definite proof that could explain the hole's mysterious effects. The environment's reaction was already a mystery, and when this was coupled with the bizarre signals, the site became surrounded by an atmosphere of suspense and foreboding that was like a shadow. The growing tales of otherworldly activity set the stage for Mel Waters' push to bring attention to the hole on a broader platform. Mel Waters and the initial discoveries. In 1997, Mel Waters decided to share the story of his bottomless pit with the world. He reached out to Art Bell, the renowned host of Coast to Coast AM, a radio show dedicated to the paranormal and unexplained. This decision would transform a local mystery into an internationally discussed enigma. On air, Mel recounted his experiences and the astonishing depth of the hole. The conversations between Mel and Art Bell caught the imagination of millions of listeners. Personal accounts, strange observations, and Mel's own explorations sparked a wave of tips and theories from across the globe. Some suggested using lasers or ground-penetrating radar to measure the depth, while others proposed more exotic ideas involving interdimensional gateways. However, sharing his story publicly came with unforeseen consequences. Soon after the broadcasts, Mel attempted to return to his property, but found military personnel blocking access. Armed guards and large vehicles swarmed the area, citing a supposed plane crash on the land, though no evidence supported their claim. The US military had effectively taken control of the land, preventing Mel or anyone else from getting close to the hole. Mel's encounters with the authorities were tense and disorienting. Military officials hinted that he might no longer legally own the land and threatened him with accusations of illegal activities if he pursued the matter publicly. Despite his courage and attempts to engage the media, Mel found himself increasingly isolated and stripped of control over his own land. Meanwhile, reports of strange phenomena continued to pile up. A neighbor described witnessing a dark beam of light shooting from the hole and slicing through the clouds, a sight both terrifying and inexplicable. Though Mel had yet to see this for himself, it added another layer to the hole's growing legend. As the story spread, Mel became both a figure of intrigue and skepticism. Some listeners dismissed his tales as fabrications, while others believed that the hole was tied to ancient powers or secret government projects. Mel's presence on Coast to Coast AM ensured the mystery would not fade, even as official efforts sought to suppress information. Despite the growing attention, the exact location of Mel's hole remained a secret, protected by military restrictions and misinformation. The hole, once a curiosity on a lonely farm, had become a flashpoint where the extraordinary collided with forces determined to keep it hidden. Even as Mel's access was blocked, his story continued to inspire new attempts at investigation and exploration. signaling that the mystery was far from over. This web of secrecy and strange discoveries hinted at a larger truth just beyond reach. The mysteries deepening around the pit make us eager to explore the shadowy hand that intervened and the strange phenomena continuing to unfold. Government involvement and secrecy. Mel Waters' decision to publicly share his experience with the bottomless hole brought immediate and intense attention, not all of it welcome. Soon after his radio appearances on Coast to Coast AM, Mel found the once accessible land barricaded by military personnel. Armed guards patrolled the area, preventing anyone from approaching, citing a supposed airplane crash on the property. Yet no evidence of a crash, no wreckage, fire, or investigation was ever found. This unexplained lockdown hinted at government interests far beyond a simple geological curiosity. The military's presence quickly fueled speculation about what might be hidden beneath the surface. Mel was told he might no longer legally own his land and faced veiled threats of fabricated charges if he pursued the matter publicly. Despite his efforts to reach journalists and authorities, the warnings escalated, isolating him. His story, once shared enthusiastically on national radio, now faced a curtain of silence and suspicion. Locals soon described chilling oddities linked to the hole. Radios near the pit emitted static, bizarre signals, and even broadcasts from decades past, as if time itself warped there. One neighbor claimed to see a dark beam of light shooting from the hole into the clouds, defying explanation. These strange reports only deepened the sense of government cover-up and paranormal activity. Surveillance and restrictions intensified. Flight paths were altered and planes were banned from flying over the area, expanding the no-fly zone without a clear reason. Satellite images, once publicly available, showed a blacked-out square obscuring the site, fueling theories about hidden underground installations or covert projects. The deliberate removal of the hole's location from maps suggested a larger, concealed agenda. Journalists and TV crews who investigated found empty fields and traces of military activity, but no visible pit. It was as if Mel's hole had vanished, or been buried beneath layers of secrecy maintained by powerful forces. Mel later revealed he had been offered millions annually to cooperate, remain silent, and leave the country for good. Despite the tempting offer, Mel's resolve kept him connected to his story, determined not to abandon the truth. Mel's saga grew darker as he suffered mysterious health problems, strange disappearances, and disorienting encounters. After covert warnings and near-fatal incidents, he was reportedly abducted, experiencing blackout, loss of time, and awakening far from home. These ordeals strengthened fears of a deliberate attempt to silence him and block access to the truth. The mystery of Mel's hole had become not only an enigma of nature, but a dangerous secret buried beneath government shadows. Government meddling only magnified the hole's mythical reputation among conspiracy theorists and paranormal fans who thought the pit was a way to otherworldly sites. Theories popped up and ranged from alien visitors to top-secret experiments, every theory telling a story of knowledge that was lost to the world and deeply protected by dark forces. The veil of ignorance turned Mel's hole from an oddity of a local nature to a mystery of a global scale. The authorities' attempts to cover up the situation did not stop the rumors. Instead, they more or less secured the pit's place in people's minds as a topic involving both fascination and horror. The government's clumsy tactic left the public with a question. What is really in there underground, and why is it so important that someone does not let it out? Even as military restrictions lingered, whispers of related mysteries hinted that the story was expanding beyond Washington. The Nevada connection and burning ice. Mel's tale took an unexpected turn when he was invited to Nevada by a Native American tribe who shared their own encounter with a similar bottomless hole. Known as the Bosque people, this community had long studied a sacred pit remarkably like Mel's, a circular opening about the same size, but lined with a metal ring that extended deep into the earth. Unlike Mel's stone-walled hole, this one radiated warmth, and its edges emitted an unsettling silence that seemed to swallow all sound. The Bosque and Mel began a series of unusual experiments to uncover the nature of their mysterious pit. In one, they lowered buckets filled with ice to test the temperature deep inside. When retrieved, the ice was dry and no longer cold. Stranger still, some samples ignited instead of melting, flames that burned steadily for months. Defying all logic, these bizarre reactions hinted at unknown energy sources or substances hidden below the surface. Repeated tests produced inconsistent results. Sometimes the ice behaved normally, melting as expected. Other times it transformed into this combustible, burning ice. Intrigued, yet cautious, the team decided against sending a person down. Instead, they prepared to lower a sheep inside, hoping to gather insight into what might exist underground. The sheep's behavior was disturbing. It resisted approaching the hole, panicked, and tried to flee, as if sensing danger. When finally lowered in a secure container, the rope suddenly jerked to a halt while an eerie humming filled the air. After 30 minutes, the team pulled the container back up. The sheep was lifeless, its body unnaturally still and cold. Fear and confusion rippled through the group. An examination revealed a grotesque discovery. A massive tumor filled much of the sheep's abdomen. Even more horrifying, the tumor twitched as if alive. When opened, the team found a small creature resembling a baby seal with distinctly human-like eyes, still attached to the tumor by an umbilical cord. The slimy, storm-scented being seemed aware of its surroundings, moving on its own. Then, without warning, it leapt from the table and disappeared back into the pit, as though returning home. Mel felt a strange, emotional connection to the creature. Before visiting Nevada, he had been suffering from severe throat cancer, but soon after this encounter, his illness vanished. The recovery shocked doctors and believers alike, suggesting the pit and its inhabitants might possess mysterious restorative power. The Nevada events opened a new chapter in Mel's story, revealing that the bottomless hole was not an isolated enigma, but part of a broader network of unknown forces, phenomena that blurred the boundaries between science, nature, and something far beyond human understanding. With deeper secrets unfolding far from Washington, the haunting mystery of Mel's Hole continues to draw us toward even darker revelations. The dark creature and lingering questions. The most unsettling discovery tied to Mel's Hole came from experiments conducted with the Bosque people in Nevada. After lowering a sheep into their own mysterious bottomless pit, the animal returned dead and strangely still. Inside its body was a massive, unnatural tumor, twitching and pulsing as if alive, suggesting forces beyond normal biology. What emerged from the tumor was even more disturbing, a creature resembling a baby seal with unmistakably human eyes. Still connected by an umbilical cord, the hybrid entity moved independently on the table. Its slick texture and strange, storm-like odor deepened the unease. Moments later, it leapt back toward the pit, as though the hole itself were both birthplace and refuge. Mel Waters believed this encounter was more than a coincidence. Before visiting Nevada, he was battling terminal throat cancer. After his experience with the creature, his illness vanished, a recovery so sudden it seemed miraculous. Many saw this as proof that the hole and its inhabitants possessed unknown restorative energy, linking the phenomenon to life itself. The burning ice was a scientific paradox. It caught fire rather than melting, lasted for months of burning, and yet still took moisture from the air. It even, at times, caused the ground underlying stoves to give way, as if the planet was having a hollowing out process. The Bosque tribes said they were given alerts via their radios that made beeping and clicking sounds, signals that were thought to be coming from the seal-like creature. The cryptic communications warned that the flaming ice was dangerous, and if the wrong people got to it, it could lead to disastrous outcomes. Such linking of the alien intelligence to the hole, which was both guardian-like and inscrutable, was also associated with the tribal community's religious practices. While Mel's life fell apart due to government meddling and personal misfortunes, the surrounding evidence of the holes began to disappear. Eventually, satellite photographs revealed some parts of the area that were blacked out, where the site was supposed to be located, thus raising the suspicion of a cover-up. Although there were several investigations conducted, nobody could ever find the real pit or take its picture, which made the pit mythic. The enigma of Mel's Hole basically stays, an intolerable fusion of science, myth, and supernatural. Whether a fable or a hidden verity, the reports and odd occurrences are still keeping the public's interest alive. In the end, Mel's Hole signifies both a literal and a symbolic borderline to the unknown, a deep-seated reminder that some mysteries are simply not to be unraveled. Mel's Hole opens a door to the unknown, where science meets legend and fear fuels curiosity. Its endless depths and eerie phenomena continue to fascinate and unsettle, reminding us that some mysteries can't be buried. If you enjoyed this dive into the unexplained, please like the video, subscribe for more stories that push the edge of reality, and watch the next video on your screen for another chilling mystery.